Hi there. So we recently just had a video that I recorded on creating the set for your lesson, the opener, and it's just as important then to to close the lesson. So if you look at this picture here, we have a problem with the gate being open, and I like to think about having grown up on a farm about how disastrous it can be if you leave the gate open. So an important closure is very important also with a lesson. So lesson closure provides space for or time for students to digest. You go back and do a little quick review. It gives them a chance to think about this is what we were supposed to learn. Did I learn it? Kind of self-reflection, and it's so important that I believe it's just as important as a good opener, and you don't want to leave it out. Um, Again, we've got some rocks rules about openers, just like closures, just like we did with openers. Um, Regardless of how far you get in your lesson, you need to be setting a timer and about 5 or 10 minutes before the lesson's supposed to be over or the bell rings. So regardless of how far you get in your lesson, you need to stop and do your closing. And so, sometimes the close can be just a little bit different than what you planned because you might not have gotten quite as far in your lesson as you thought you would. But these are the parts, again, that are in a good close, and they can be in a different order. Um, and so we've got a review. You want to bring the students' attention back to the lesson objective. So who remembers what our essential question was or focus question? You want to make that real world connection. So you might say something like, well, this is what we learned today. Can you think of a time when this would be useful? Um, so making those connections are important, or reviewing that you already talked about in the opening. Um, and then doing a final check of understanding. This could be just informally calling on students. Having your questions planned ahead of time is always a good idea, though. Or having students write down something on their exit ticket or in their journal, having a KWL chart, just some way to do some kind of final check of understanding. And you also want to preview what's coming up. So it's really important. So you might say to them, okay, this is what we did yesterday. This is what we did today. Now this is where we're going with it. So they kind of learn to understand that you have some purpose to your teaching, and you do. I mean, you're planning intentionally. So um, what are we getting ready for? And so that preview is important. And then you want to give some final reminders, remind the students what they need to study and to do. You might want to say, so tomorrow we're going to do this. So tonight, don't forget to blah, blah, blah. Making sure that they have their homework written down and cleaning up, and all those are important. It's good, I think. I personally find that students um, don't um, I do better if I ask students not to clean up until I finish with the clothes. Some people like to have the students clean up first and then do the clothes. Um, but however you do it, you need to do it because that's what works. Don't just do it in a particular order because that um, is what you've been taught. You want to do it in the order that's working for your class. So you may have a class that you can bring back after they've done a cleanup in order to talk about these clothes. So when we look at the lesson plan evaluation rubric that we have at our college, we can see that um, it needs to contain a review, a connections to the real world, a final check for understanding, a preview of what's coming up, final reminders, and a cleanup. Here's the rubric. Basically, the rubric asks that you include real-world connections, have time for reflection, so requires students to reflect on their learning. That's kind of could be your checking for understanding. Giving them an exit ticket or a journal, a quick write, a self-evaluation again, having some way for them to evaluate for themselves. Did I understand what we were doing today? So that they can take some ownership for their learning, and discussing how today's lesson is going to relate to tomorrow's lesson. And so this is how you would put it in your lesson plan. And again, you can change the order of these. And here's an example of what it might look like in your lesson plan. Review, which you bold, and then get it off of bold for what you're writing. Preview, reminders, final check for understanding, the cleanup. Here's a student that's done one. She's got the review, preview and reminders, final check for understanding, and the cleanup. Notice that she's thought about and she's labeled what the student's doing at the same time. This is what the teacher does. This is what the student does. This is what we provide for help or support if the student struggles. Very nicely done. Your biggest obstacle is going to be timing. Everybody struggles with timing. Pacing is one of the hardest things to do in planning a lesson and delivering a lesson. You need to learn to watch the clock. Get you a big clock, put it up there on the wall and watch it. Set a timer so that you aren't going over and not allowing yourself. A whole lot of people want to skip the close. What they'll say is, well, I didn't get to the close. And I'm like, really? You all still at school? Because yes, it's not that you didn't get to the close, you skipped it. You left it out. The close should be there no matter how far you get in the lesson. I can't emphasize enough. Um, I know when I was used to attend a Methodist church, and that I liked a lot. And one of the things that I liked is that we did the same benediction every single time that we got ready to end the service. And so I knew the service was getting ready to end. And it just is a great way to wrap things up and bring them together. And as always, you're coming back to this tomorrow. You're going to revisit and open that door back up. So this is just a great strategy. Closing the door, opening the door. Openings and closings are very important to lessons. I hope you have a great day.